Hey everyone, Life Coach Carissa here. How are you all doing today? Things are finally starting to warm up here in Ohio, and hopefully will provide some consistency for at least a stretch of time, right? I would really like to have a stretch of nice days. Um, Crazy how the weather can drive you crazy, right? We've been so up and down, and I really have allowed it to damper my walking and outdoor cycling routines. And just like everyone, I need to manage my mindset on a daily basis, right? So that I can follow through on the goals and aspirations that I have for myself. And it's funny how a little thing like the weather can sometimes derail you, but that's what this mindset work is all about for how to stay focused on what we want. Um, Today's topic will actually relate a bit to what I was just talking about, actually, pertaining to the goals and aspirations that we decide for ourselves. So for today, I want to talk to you about something so powerful. It is tapping into the wisdom of your future self. Have you ever heard of this before? Your future self. So the future is obviously the time yet to come, and yourself is you. So it is thinking about the future you. Now you can choose the future to mean the next hour, the next day, the next year, the next 5 years. It really is the time frame that you choose. Thinking about your future self is an active practice that is really focused on creating the life that you want. So I'll ask you, have you ever talked to your future self? Have you ever written a letter to your future self? What about your future self writing a letter to you now? What might your future self tell you at this very minute? Does all of this sound unusual to you? I used to think so, but I don't anymore because I have been able to achieve things in my life beyond what I thought was possible because of my intentionally thinking about my future self, building a relationship with her. I mean, did you know that how you think about yourself is how you feel about yourself? And since we know that the actions we choose to take or not take often comes because of the way we're feeling, this is so important to the building blocks of our life. If I spend time thinking about how I dislike my life, I'm going to feel a negative energy. And because of that negative energy, I will be less likely to take positive actions to help myself out of whatever situation I'm in to begin with. Because we look to our past selves for answers. We dwell on mistakes, regrets, and missed opportunities. But what if I told you that your future self holds the key to unlocking your full potential? By focusing on our future selves, we shift our mindset forward. Instead of dwelling on the past, we start envisioning new possibilities. We become proactive in shaping the lives that we really want to lead rather than just reacting to whatever circumstances come our way in our life. This is so powerful, and I hope you'll stick with me because I'm going to give you some things to ponder towards the end of this video of how you could bring this into your life. But before I do that, let me share a brief story about how future self thinking really played a big part in my redesigned life. I was born into a family business. I worked in it for over 30 years. I never did anything different. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot of challenges. But in 2020, COVID-19 comes, and for the first time, I was forced to slow down, jump off my autopilot hamster wheel life I was living, and I had this forced time to sit and reflect now. And I really found myself in this miserable place. I was an overworking mom who was drinking practically a bottle of wine daily just to feel better in my evenings. And I thought it was going to help me feel better, but it really wasn't, right? In actuality, it was taking me farther away from any goals or aspirations that I actually had for myself. My health was getting worse, my mindset was more negative, and I was actually really feeling stuck. So when I found life coaching and I learned this concept of the future self, everything really started to change for me. I had trouble dreaming before, thinking about what I would like to create in my life. I sort of just stayed with what I had and felt like I was just responding to whatever life kind of threw at me. But when I created a vision board, it was a visual way for me to have a daily reminder of what I wanted to create in my life. Things really opened up for me. I had a hard time dreaming prior to this, but I allowed myself to dream in a safe space of my own head or in my journal about what I think that I would like to create in my life. Now, remember, all I had done was work in my family's business. So there was no continued education after high school. I had no college degree. I had no other job references, right? Just the one that I had been in. And when I would look to my past evidence of what I was capable of, it told me all the reasons why I didn't have any other options besides working in this family business because that's all I knew, right? So I couldn't look to that past version. I had to look forward. So when I began to build a relationship and form a relationship with future Carissa, she told me that she wanted to help people with their life struggles. She wanted to make a greater impact. She told me that she receives so much satisfaction when she mentors team members and helps them make steps forward in their life. She wanted to imagine a new life for herself, one where she doesn't need to drink wine daily to relax and enjoy her family, one where she doesn't have to work all day and then work more when she gets home and into the evening. One where she didn't blame her spouse and her kids and her employees and whoever else for wasn't going right in her life. She wanted to imagine something new for herself. And that is what I began to do. I got to know her so well. It was as if I was fighting for her, which was actually me, right? So can you see this? I began to live into this future version of myself and create her. And that's what I did. In 2020, I created her in my mind. In 2021, I took steps towards it. And by the beginning of 2022, I had transformed my career into something completely new and fulfilling for my next chapter of my life. I transformed my relationships, my habits, and most importantly, I really transformed the relationship with myself. My productivity and my contribution to the world increased greatly. And you know what? I was actually having more fun, something I had never even thought was possible. My health improved, my outlook improved, so many different areas of my life improved. Now, don't get me wrong, I still have a 50-50 life with its ups and downs, but I was more in alignment with what I wanted in my life. It was like I chose everything all over again, right? And it all started with this vision of the future me, that Carissa that's 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. I tried to connect with her. There are so many benefits to connecting to our future selves. It gives us clarity and direction. It can motivate us to set meaningful goals, and it really aligns our actions with our values, helping us to live authentically. And it really prevents future regrets by guiding our present decisions, right? Decisions that I was currently making were kind of all over the place because I didn't have this vision of the future me. I wasn't grounded in that. So as promised, I want to share some reflection prompts to help get you started, right, on your own journey of connecting with your future self. So I really want you to take your time with these, go back and play the video over again and write these down so that you can capture them and go back and really dig into them, right? So really tap into the wisdom of your future self and really let it guide you and just see where this can go. Okay. So I've got 7 prompts for you. The first one is, I want you to imagine yourself 5 years from now. What does your ideal life look like in terms of career, relationships, health, your personal growth? Okay. So record that and write down anything that you can think of. What does that ideal life look like? Number 2, reflect on a time, if there was one, when you ever made decisions based upon your future aspirations rather than that immediate primitive desire. So, like, think back to a time when maybe you were future thinking, future focused, and I want you to ask yourself, how did this shape my outcome and my experience? Did it work out better for me? What can I learn from that? Right? Because a lot of times we have experiences in our life that we could go back to and gain some wisdom from, rather than just looking at maybe the initial negatives that our brain comes up with. So see if you have something there that you could reflect back on that would be helpful to you. Number three is consider one area of your life where you feel stuck or uncertain. How might this future self approach this situation, right? With some wisdom and clarity. I absolutely love asking myself this question. I would say, what would future Carissa do right now? What would she tell you? And I have had so much good come from this one small, powerful question. It's crazy when I ask what future Carissa would do. She's a little bit more no nonsense and doesn't get bogged down in some of the details, and she gives me the wisdom of where it is I need to go. And she kind of pulls me back, right? Because I'm aligning my choice right now with that future version of myself. Number four, visualize your future self as a source of guidance and inspiration. What advice would they offer you right now to help you overcome the challenge that you're in or to get closer to the goals that you want to create for yourself, right? So tap into that. What would be that guidance and inspiration that that future self would give you? Number five, think about the values and priorities that matter most to your future self. How can you align your actions today with these future focused principles, right? So, what values and priorities do you have today? What do you see that future version of you having? And then really align what you're doing today to fulfill that future version of you. Number six, explore any fears or doubts that you have about the future. How can you shift your perspective to focus on the potential of your future self and alleviate some of those concerns, right? Because again, if you're looking at your past self, you're going to be looking for evidence of what's possible. And I want you to look at the future, right, of what is possible. So we need to look at those fears and doubts that are keeping us from even going there. I know that when I was on my journey, I didn't even want to look at any other possibilities because it felt scary. But when I reminded myself that I am just practicing here into my future version of myself, and it's a safe place that I can do this, I was able to look at a lot of those fears and doubts differently. And the last one, number seven, describe one step you can take today to invest in that future version of you. How will this one action contribute to your long term vision and growth? Right? So try to break it down into small, bite sized steps that you could literally start doing today that is going to help you for that future version of you. This doesn't have to be big and complicated. I broke mine down into little actionable steps. You want to know where I started? I started with what could I do in this world other than I'm doing now? And I just literally started to write, what are those different things? What types of places would I work? What types of things would I do? And I just started exploring it. I broke it down into the little steps, right? Anything that was worrying me, I broke that down. What would I need to do to resolve this fear? So remember, your future self is counting on you to make the right choices today. So the idea here is to design a future you that you can feel optimistic about and proud of, right? My future self was not telling me to keep drinking that bottle of wine. My future self was saying, Carissa, you are dramatically affecting your health. And I don't want this 5 years from now. So can you do something about this? And I did, because the future self didn't want that, right? My future self, Carissa, it is not healthy to work 15 hours a day. What can we do about this, right? We often get into this fixed mindset of seeing the world as something that just happens and we need to react to it. But what if there is more to it than that? What if your choices you are making today, even the ones that seem small and insignificant, are actually creating that path for your future self? Uncontrollable events are still going to happen, yes. But what if you just kept on going, planning out what you want for your future self and not just choosing to accept that whatever you're getting is because what happened to you in your past and you're stuck and you have no choice. And I don't even know who I want my future self to be, right? What you focus on and think about, you are going to create for yourself. Remember this. So then choose what you really want and live into your future self. And do you want to know one more really big benefit of doing this? When you reach that place of what you once dreamed of, it won't feel foreign to you because you've already been visualizing it for yourself and living into it. And that means your brain is already off and running and knows what to do once it's there. It is like a beautiful thing. I didn't know about life coaching prior to 2020. I didn't know that that's where I was going to end up. But I began slowly to visualize myself as a life coach, as helping people, as making a difference in the world, as using all of my tools and experience that I had obtained to help others. And I lived into that future version of me. And now that is exactly what I'm doing. And it didn't feel scary and foreign to me when I started to get there. It's like, huh, this feels familiar. I've been dreaming about this. So that's what I want for you to at least consider what it would look like if you started living into your future self. What does that person want for you? And then start using those prompts to bring it down into your everyday life to see how you can make progress. All right. Thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, would you please click that like, share, and subscribe button so that I can expand my reach to more people who maybe need to hear this message? And if you're curious about my work, I encourage you to visit my website at lifecoachingwithcarissa.com. You will find an easy button on there to click and schedule a complimentary consultation session or just to have a chat with me where we can talk about any questions you may have, fears, apprehensions, anything about coaching, what I do, and the impact that I make in people's lives. I offer individual sessions. I have a 12-week total transformation package where you work with me one-on-one for 12 weeks to reframe your brain, learn self-coaching tools, and up-level your life. And I would love to talk to you about that. All right, everyone. Again, thank you for listening. Have a great day, and I will see you in a couple weeks.